This week, the House passed House Bill 1491, which would improve early learning and child care requirements. Can you talk more about the bill and what it would mean to Washington families?
Well, I think it'd mean a lot to Washington families. It's a bill I highly support. Matter of fact, I'm a co-sponsor on the bill. And it packs a pretty hefty price tag. It's about $130 million at this point, but it's been scaled down from about $300 million. So it's one of those bills that has been well compromised and well worked by, frankly, Democrats, Republicans, senators, and House members. And we kind of reached conclusion that we couldn't get it all. And frankly, maybe we shouldn't try to get it all in this first bill. This is sort of the first crack at it, though. But we think expanding quality child care and early learning to our families across the state who are mostly in need is a good idea. Those kids start kindergarten and there's an incredible gap between their level of achievement and many of the other kids that are entering kindergarten. And if that gap never really does lessen throughout their whole K-12 career. So the reality is if we can give kids a good head start, we can help empower their parents to be the kids' best and first teachers and frankly their best cheerleaders when it comes to their education. I think that's really important to re-engage parents in this process, make sure that we can help some of our low-income parents or parents who maybe do not have any type of a post-secondary education. We want to try to help empower them to do a great job with their kids and be the best parents they can be and get their kids through school. We think that's really important. So I think the Early Start Act is very important and one that I hope most folks, and frankly about 75% of folks around here do support it. So I'm very hopeful it'll be the best thing we can do for our families and our young families and our kids and actually help our K-12 system in doing so.
Last week, the House passed a bill to increase the state minimum wage to $12 an hour over the next 4 years. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, it sounds like a nifty idea, but you know, this state has a really high unemployment rate for our youth. So I think when a kid who's 16, 17, 18 years old can't get a job out there in the market, we do a terrible disservice to that kid. That person's going to grow up and be an adult, and frankly, if they're not able to work, then we have some real problems. So I think we exacerbate the situation by increasing the minimum wage. We already have the highest minimum wage in the country, and I wouldn't be too adverse to bumping that minimum wage up a little bit if in fact we could kind of temper that by offering a training wage for young workers. Maybe some of our fast food chains that typically hire kids, although in the last 10 years during the recession, I think that a lot of people were taking jobs that they were overly qualified for out of necessity. We were in a recession. They needed a paycheck. So I think we had some overqualified people working in minimum wage jobs. And suddenly it sort of set in motion this attitude that the minimum wage should be a family wage job, when in fact I think of the minimum wage as an entry-level wage or a first-time worker wage. And I live on a border county, and so I'm 4 miles away from Oregon. And I shudder to think how many of those types of jobs will just go over the border because you can pay your employees a lot less if we have a really high minimum wage. So again, if I could get a balance with that and try to help our young people be able to get jobs as well, I might be okay with it. But at this point, I'm a pretty firm no on the minimum wage increase.
Wednesday, March 11th was House of Origin cutoff. What does that mean?
Well, the House of Origin is either the House or the Senate, and it means that if you didn't get your bill out by last Wednesday's cutoff date, then your policy bill probably will not proceed. It'd be dead for this session. Of course, it will be introduced at the beginning of the next session again, so you kind of get 2 years to get your bill through. And then again, same with the Senate. So right now, we just had our cutoff on the floor after floor action, so we were working, 12, 14, 16-hour days, passing bills off the floor, House bills, that we are now going to refer over to the Senate. And they've done the same to us, and now the whole thing kind of starts over again. But at least we know which bills we're really going to be dealing with, and we're kind of narrowing down the amount of bills that actually have a fighting chance here this year. And of course, if any bill has money attached to it, it's necessary to implement the budget. It's alive until the very last day we're here. I'm Representative Maureen Walsh, and I always appreciate hearing from you and welcome your ideas, comments, and feedback. If I can ever be of assistance to you in any way, please let me know by calling, writing, or sending me an email. I also encourage you to sign up for my email updates from my website, which is on your screen. Thanks for taking the time to listen today. It is an honor to be your state representative.